everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Ultimate Fantasy Football Three-Way. If you watch the Thanksgiving special, you know we're already a man down, so it's really the Ultimate Fantasy Tag Team this week, brought to you by FantasyDonks.com, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about daily fantasy sports. I'm Sean Big Pop Williams.
And I'm Chris Murray.
And we'll be bringing you our normal breakdown. Even though we're a man short, we'll be doing 3 games apiece, then giving you all our value plays as usual for Week 12's NFL action. And we'll start it off with Murr, the Saints at Texans. It's a 47.5 over-under, and the Texans are currently 3-point favorites at home. Murr, what does this game look like?
Oh, you gotta love these defense optional games. You're starting out with the Saints side of this thing. Drew Brees, 7,300. Probably could be worth the money against this D. This D is very, very suspect. Mark Ingram's at running back at 6,400. He missed time last week, but still managed to put up a double-digit score, even though he definitely missed some time. I like Mark Ingram a lot against Houston. I don't think Houston can stop most backs. As far as the other running backs for Houston, or for the Saints, it was C.J. Spiller and Timmy Hightower at 3K. Don't trust them. Don't play them. Play some Mark Ingram instead at 6,400. At wide receiver, you end up with Brandon Cooks at 6,400, coming off a very good game. I also kind of like some Willie Snead, even though he did everybody dirty last week with the big goose egg at 4,500. Colston is 3,300, the ageless wonder who is definitely showing his age and probably isn't worth the play. And tight end, we have Benjamin Watson at 4K, who he's a part of this offense. This offense has figured out that they can throw the tight end other than Jimmy Graham, and Benjamin Watson's taken that role.
Yeah, here's the thing. I really like the Ben Watson play as far as the rest of the Saints go. I'm not a big fan, and the reason why is because this Texans defense looks completely revamped from what it was earlier in the season when people were torching them. Like, the last 3 weeks, they have shut people down.
I'll take my chances.
I mean, dude, you're talking about they've kept teams under 300 passing yards the last 3 weeks, under 200 passing yards the last 3 weeks, and they've kept them all under 100 rushing yards. I mean, total yardage against this Texans defense. The Titans put up 211, the Bengals put up 256, and the Jets put up 267. That's just not enough to get good fantasy points, except from maybe 1 or 2 positions, and I think it's going to be the tight end. That's just why I'm not on the Saints side. I am, however, on the Texans side of this goodness, as everyone should be, because the Saints are a sip defensively. Go ahead and give us this breakdown, because I'm excited.
Well, everybody's definitely excited about the Texans. We have Brian Hoyer, minimum value, 5K, fresh off of a concussion protocol. And Brian Hoyer's been really good when he plays. This is a great matchup for him. Kirk Cousins destroyed this team before he put up a 9 last week against somebody else. So, I'm going to play Hoyer. I'm going to be all over DeAndre Hopkins at 9,100. Nate Washington at 3,800 has not been worth the money since Cecil Shorts came in at 3,600. Whenever both of them play, they both kind of cannibalize each other. It's kind of pick your poison. I would have to choose Cecil, especially because against New Orleans, you don't go to your third option so much. At running back for Houston, you have Alfred Blue, super, super pedestrian running back, but he gets 35 carries because, if they're winning or even trying to stay in a game, they protect that D and they will run the ball. Yeah. So Alfred Blue is a sneaky play at 4,500. I don't touch Polk and Grimes, 3K and 3,200 just because there's not enough volume there, and you're definitely touchdown hunting, and, I think there's other guys out there. Tight end, God knows who they have. God knows who they'll play. Ryan Griffin, 2,500. Fedorowicz, 2,500. You're definitely TD hunting. If you want one of them, pick Griffin, but good luck to you, sir.
Yeah. I mean, dude, yeah. The pieces here for me are Cecil Shorts and DeAndre Hopkins with Hoyer. And that's
Alfred Blue's the funny swerve there. And you're
the reason why I'm not on the Alfred Blue train is he is so pedestrian at running. They gave Cecil Shorts 4 carries last week.
He is. He's so bad.
So if Cecil Shorts gets 6 carries, that might be the play. Right. It might be Cecil Shorts on that game. I agree with your breakdown. That's pretty much where I would lean it as well. So with that said, guys, I think it's time to move along to the next game, which is I have Tampa Bay at Indianapolis for you. It's a 46.5 over-under, and Indy is currently a 3-point home favorite. Start off with the Buccaneers. Jameis Winston is on fire, and he should be able to keep it up. He's a sexy play against this Colt team that doesn't really play defense. Winston's coming off a monster game, which should have people owning quite a big chunk of him. But I just, at a $5,500 price tag, can you really go wrong? The next phase of this game, the running backs, is where we're going to run into some trouble with Doug Martin, because are you going to get 40-point Doug Martin at 5,800, or are you going to get dumpster fire Doug Martin that craps on teams, which he's done to us so many times?
He likes to follow up the big games with crap games.
And remember how I told you I was owning 0 Doug Martin last week? I did own 0. I missed that game. I don't really feel bad that I missed that game, the 26.5. Keep in mind, he did have 235 on the ground with no touchdowns, but he has crapped himself versus these terrible matchups
never
before.
Know when to play.
And he showed up versus a decent matchup. You just never know when to play the guy, as you said, and that's going to keep me off of Dougie Fresh this week.
Yeah, I have a little bit of him at 5,800, but that's about it.
As far as the wide receivers go in this game, you've got Mike Evans, who's just a stallion and was a stallion last week, even though he didn't manage to have a monster game. He still put up right around his 15 normal points. And at 7,400, that's something you love to have. VJax is healthy and emerged last week. He caught a touchdown pass, but so did everyone, including the backup running back last week, caught a touchdown pass. Right. It's because when you have a 5-touchdown performance and nobody has more than one, everybody kind of gets their
Give me my 5 catching 60 yards.
Right. The same thing happened in the Carolina game. Everybody was blah other than Cam Newton. So the play might be naked Jameis Winston here.
Lear will love hearing you say that.
Yeah, Lear loves some naked Jameis Winston. That's his favorite phrase. So with that said, the tight end Austin Springer-Jenkins is supposed to be back, but hell, he's supposed to have been back for 3 weeks now. So if he suits up on Sunday, roll with this.
2,500.
I know, dude. I've been waiting him to play him at 2,500, but
not yet been cleared for medical contact. He's never playing.
Yeah, probably not.
He has the leg.
But guys, that pretty much wraps up the Buccaneers side of this equation. I really like the Buccaneers offense, what they've been doing over the past few weeks. On the Indy side, I think you kind of have to have a death wish to take Indianapolis players at this point in time. You can always take old balls Matt Hasselbeck at 5,400 and try to get the 15 points out of him. I mean, the dude is consistently always putting up 15, but you're not going to get any more out of that, and you might not get much less, but you're going to get 15.
Playing Brian Hoyer for $5K for the love of man.
Right. I save 500 and I get the Saint. This is something I forgot that I left out on that. The Saints defense is so bad. They've made every quarterback that they face look like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning in their best games ever.
Kirk Cousins had a 39 against them 2 weeks ago. He had a 9 last week. That's the way quarterbacks play. Yeah,
it's just I don't know that you want old balls Hasselbeck, and I don't know that you want any of his weapons either. The Fleener at tight end is supposed to be sexy, but he crapped on all of us last week, and it was supposed to be a nice matchup. You always have and he's only 3K, so you're kind of wanting to go back to it, but 3 for 45 was not what I expected against that Atlanta secondary.
And 5 targets. He is what he is. You're touchdown dependent on. He's just like a handful of other tight ends.
Let's backtrack a second because I usually take tight ends, wide receivers first. But you've got Ty at 57, you've got Moncrief, and you've got Andre at 34. And guys, do you want to guess on this secondary core? On these receivers with the backup quarterback? There are better spots, guys. Don't take the Colts.
If I'm going to guess one, Dante Moncrief.
Right. The reason why we're talking about this game is not from the Colts side, other than the fact that their defense doesn't really exist. We really wanted this game from the Tampa side, and it's super sexy. And I wanted to talk to you about that Doug Martin dilemma. But with that, I think that pretty much wraps up the Indy-Tampa game and brings us right along to Murph's second game, which is Bills at Chiefs. It's a 42 over-under, and the Kansas City Chiefs are currently listed as 5.5-point favorites. Murph, tell us about this game.
Well, Kansas City will be playing at home, which is always awesome. At Arrowhead, that D will show up and things do get rowdy. At the same time, this looks like a classic trap game to me, in that the Bills last week against New England really did interesting things by changing up their defensive front, showing interesting looks, bringing three and dropping the whole world back, but everybody lining up on the line. Really interesting things to confuse a really bad, unprepared offensive line. Well, as a Chiefs fan, I can tell you our offensive line has looked better, but they're really bad and undermanned, and they have people missing. And unfortunately, when you talk about Rex Ryan, his whole game is to confuse an offensive line. So there is some fear in this game. It does scare me a little bit because of that. As far as breaking it down, we'll get into the Bills. Tyrod Taylor, 5,100. I like Tyrod Taylor, especially against the Chiefs. Have been smoking hot. They've been absolutely on fire. At the same time, as a lifelong Chiefs fan, I can tell you they struggle with mobile quarterbacks, and Tyrod Taylor's just the guy that'll do them dirty. That being said, LaShawn McCoy, 5,300. I don't have a problem with LaShawn McCoy. I usually will tell you don't play running back against the Chiefs. LaShawn McCoy is going to catch enough balls to get you his 15, 16, but he's probably not a guy that's going to put up a 25, 30-point game. Sammy Watkins, 5,200, coming off of a straight pooping last week and destroying teams. Robert Woods, 3,300, and Chris Hogan, 32. Chris Hogan was really the feature last week. I don't know which one it's going to be. It's going to be whichever one shows up in the slot. The guy they play in the slot will absolutely destroy the Chiefs, and that's just the way it's going to be.
Which will most likely be Hogan. That's where you traditionally line
Hogan or Robert Woods, yeah. And then as far as tight ends go, Charles Clay. The Chiefs are awesome against tight ends. They're very speedy, again, at the linebacker position and at safety position. I'll stay away from Clay.
No, I completely agree with that side of the breakdown. You couldn't pay me to take the running backs from Buffalo this week. And I'll talk about that a little bit later going on. Just the Chiefs defense is for real. I don't even like the Tyrod Taylor play, and the reason why is because the Patriots defense isn't anything to like write home about, and he looked awful. And
that's true.
That shoulder, well, I think his shoulder separation, even though it's on the non-throwing side of the shoulder, is messing up his body chemistry so much that he's not hitting passes correctly. And like it looked to me, because he was overthrowing or underthrowing every ball, like they weren't hitting that sweet spot. Unless he figures out how to do that, regardless of how much of a sieve we are at the slot receiver, I just don't see Buffalo getting it done against this defense.
And my brain is 100% with you, but as a lifetime Chiefs fan, I can look and say my heart is telling me this is the game where we crap our pants.
Yeah.
You know, we've won 4 in a row. We've looked awesome. We've scored like 130 points to 68 points in the last 4 games. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
If the defense shows up,
this is going to be the game.
Well, yeah, but the dude, as good as that defense has been, like the last few weeks. Like, they don't even need their offense.
So good. Well, and on the Chiefs' offensive side, you know, you're talking Alex Smith is an interesting play against Buffalo at a minimum value 5K. You know, Sharkandrick West dinged up last week with a hamstring. Still not clear. Don't really know what's going to happen with him. He's listed as questionable. If he doesn't go, most people won't tell you, hey, play the Chiefs' 3rd/4th string running back, Spencer Ware. I will tell you, as someone that watched him play in the preseason, play Spencer Ware and feel fine about it. Now, he is not Sharkandrick West in that he is not the smaller, shifty. He doesn't have Sharkandrick West's speed. And Sharkandrick West is deceptively fast. That said, Spencer Ware runs hard.
Yeah, he's an LSU running back. One cut, like, go.
And he runs hard. He has a great spin move. He does break tackles, and he is a solid guy. Now, the forgotten man still remains Niall Davis, 3,700. If Niles Davis was going to get a bunch of carries, he would have been active last week. He needs to probably stop sleeping with the coach's wife or whatever the hell he did. Because pretty much Niall Davis went from a guy that they thought, hey, this is a solid backup, to a guy that is inactive.
The guy that we're promoting practice squad guys over and letting them play.
Well, and as someone that, again, watched them in preseason and also follows the Chiefs very closely, I'll tell you, that's 100% because Niles Davis sucks at picking up the blitz. He drops passes. He's not an effective receiver, and he's lousy in the passing game in that he can't pick up the blitz. offense effectively.
Fair enough. No, I love the Ware play this week. I'm all over it. And what it allows you to do is buy whatever you want on your lineup.
Well, and that's where I get in. The interesting part is on the Buffalo or on the Chiefs wide receiver side. It's really Jeremy Maclin at 4,700, who's been coming on. The problem is most number ones don't do so hot against the Bills, but if there ever was one, it's Jeremy Maclin because they move him everywhere. They play him in the slot. They put him all over. Now that's Albert Wilson is 3,100. Albert Wilson's a nice, interesting play if you want to get super swervy. Chris Conley, I can't play him. He doesn't hardly play. Travis Kelce, 4,700. People will be on Travis Kelce. I don't have a huge problem with playing him because I think that he gets a little more volume than hey, I have to worry about getting a touchdown tight ends. And in a game like this, I think that he'll get some play.
Yeah, and I think that just leaves you with the defense of the Chiefs, which is my favorite play. I think they're way underpriced again at 2,800, especially as bad as Tyrod and company look and as good as they are against the run. With that said, though, I think it moves us right along into the second game that I'll break down for us, and that's the Giants at the Washington team with the racist name. And the Giants, that over-under line is 47 points, and the Giants are currently 2.5-point road favorites. Eli at 6,500 and Odell Beckham at 8,700. Maybe, excuse me, maybe the number one owned wide receiver quarterback combo this weekend. That matchup is just super juicy. As bad as Washington is, all Giants are in play, in my opinion. You've got Ty at tight end at 2,500. You got Randall and Harris for your other two wideouts at 3,800 apiece. Just take your choice there. They're both pedestrian guys, but they could easily pop against this Washington secondary. We've seen everybody else score touchdowns against them. As far as the running backs for the Giants go, it's still a four-headed monster that you don't want any piece of. If you can try to guess, Shane Vereen's the best option as he has the best ceiling, but he also has the worst floor as he can goose egg you at any given time. I don't really care what their price tags are. I have no interest in the Giants run game.
I don't have a problem with that.
The Washington side of the equation. If you want to roll Cousins at home at $5,400, I get it. But the 9-point last week, really screwed with me. I know he has really good games at home, a 31 and a 34, and all of his terrible performances are on the road for the most part. But yeah, I just don't trust in Cousins, and I don't want a piece of this action.
Yeah, you didn't trust him against New Orleans, though, and again,
okay. I've learned that the Saints are just epically bad at defense.
What's funny is the Giants are damn near as bad.
Yeah, yes and no. Teams have.
Oh,
but people don't look like the best quarterback to ever play the game against them. That's the ultimate.
It's really about that they're lousy against the run as well as the pass. Right. People beat them, but they just beat them running every way. Yeah, I mean,
you've got Deshaun Jackson at 5,100 or Pierre Garcon at 42. If you want to take a dart on either one of those guys, feel free to. Matt Jones is 3,900, and I loved all the people that were on him after that 30-point. And they got a ginormous 2.2 out of him last week. So you can guess on Matt Jones, or you can even throw 3,800 on Alf Morris. But Big Papa's straight fading all Redskins this week, except for one of them possibly. And if I make that play, it is Mr. Jordan Reed at tight end against the Giants. We've been over all throughout the season, guys, how epically bad the Giants are against tight ends. We're one of the 5 teams that we love to target tight ends against. Jordan Reed sees the majority of the targets of the racist name team from Washington and should be able to get it done as long as he can be healthy in this game against the Giants. That's the play for me at 5,100. I do have tight ends that I like that are cheaper, but in all honesty, he's the best play for the Washington team. Anything to add?
I don't disagree. I don't have as much problem with people wanting to play some Deshaun after last week because he's clearly part of that team, and the Giants are really, really bad. So, I think Deshaun is going to get some play. He's going to get balls thrown his way. Pierre Garcon is what he is at this point, and that's, if in a classic PPR year-long, you can maybe sneak by with him as a fill-in.
Wide receiver 4.
But he's pretty much a pedestrian, hope you get 15 out of him sort of guy. And I do love that people were on Crowder last week for some reason. After I had been saying play him before Deshaun got back, now that Deshaun is back, Jamison Crowder has no value. I don't know what people are thinking.
He will next year when one of those guys is gone.
Correct.
Not this year. All right, that brings us to Murph's final game to break down, which is the Chargers at Jags. It's a 46.5 over/under. You guys all know how much I love the Jacksonville Jaguars for fantasy points, and apparently Vegas does too, as they are favored by 4 points this week against those dumpster fire Chargers. Man, they're bad.
The Chargers
are bad. But are you even as bad as the Chargers are, and as bad as the Jacksonville defense is, are you even remotely interested in playing some of these Chargers?
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Shockingly, I think if I'm going to play any, it's going to be Danny Woodhead. I think coming off of a rough game at 5,200, he was playing the Chiefs last week. You can't expect him to do anything. But at 5,200 and a guy that catches as many balls in the game, I think they'll be being behind in. I do like
behind the Jags. That sounds weird.
I know.
Yeah, that's the game flow I have too.
The real problem. Let's talk about this. So game flow. Interesting point is the real problem with the Chargers isn't just they're playing from behind and that's awesome when you want an offense and you want to get some points. The real problem is the reason they're behind is the other team has run it down the field, and it shortens the game so much that even though they're behind, they can't get there.
Yeah.
They have a difficult time getting there. That being said, Philip Rivers 6,700. People will be on him. Philip Rivers is a good player. He cries too much for me, but he's a good fantasy guy, and he should have an okay game. I just like other quarterbacks better. Stevie Johnson, I've liked the last couple of weeks, 4,500. Floyd 39 and Inman at 3,000 who can't catch a ball. There's some guys out there. Stevie Johnson's in play for me, and I am a big Gates fan this week. Usually I shy away from this kind of a situation, but I'll tell you what. Last week Gates was all over Philip Rivers about the Chiefs. And the difference is the Chiefs can actually card the tight end, whereas the Jags cannot. So I am a Philip Gates fan Antonio Gates fan this week.
Fair enough. He hasn't had a great game. Top end
wise. He's 4,700. He had some monsters early.
I understand.
He's been dinged up. He's finally healthy.
Other than the first week he came back from his injury where he dropped the 30 burger, he has not crossed the 20 mark since then, dude.
Right. But he's a guy that can. This is the right matchup. He's healthy. It's the right matchup. It's not like against the Chiefs where he's getting bracketed. And he was getting dirty with the Chiefs. It was.
The real reason why I'm off Gates and why I have problems with the Chargers, whether it's Stevie Johnson or whoever, right, is Philip Rivers doesn't look like he can hit the broadside of a barn right now.
He's getting his ass.
Dude, that too, right? But there were several plays where we weren't bracketing Gates, where Gates broke open, and Philip Rivers was just misfired.
He was running for his life. But that's what happens when you get hit.
Jacksonville doesn't really have that much of a pass rush.
Yeah, so, he was seeing people that weren't there.
This really could be a very good bounce back game for the Chargers offense, and it might be an interesting play to go with. I totally understand.
It'll be lightly owned.
Right, but so will the other side of this equation for some reason.
I don't know why.
They are just fantasy goodness.
Blake Bortles, 6,700, same price as...
It's Bortles, bro.
It's not
he's the bro.
Bortles, it's Bortles. But still, he's the same price as Philip Rivers, except he's playing San Diego, so I do like him. TJ Yeldon, if you're ever going to play him, 4,800. Get all over that guy against San Diego. They cannot stop anybody on the ground. Everybody is destroying them on the ground. Wide receiver, both their wide receivers are slightly underpriced for what they are. Allen Robinson, 7,300. Allen Hurns at 58. Both are definitely in play. Julius Thomas at 3,400. Last week finally showed up after being kind of a turd for 2 weeks and then a monster before that. I don't know what to do with him. He had a touchdown last week that kind of helped bail his game out. He was more involved than he has been, but Julius Thomas is up and down, and I don't know if I can trust him.
Yeah,
Yeldon's my favorite.
He seems to be getting more and more of the target share. I like him. You guys know me. I just love the Jacksonville Jaguars for fantasy purposes. They're a gold mine. But if Murr's right about the Yeldon play, and as bad as the Chargers have been, the game flow situation might be to where you don't want the offensive weapons other than Yeldon. Like I think this is really, unlike most games, this is an either or, where either you want to go the Yeldon route or you want to go the passing route. You don't want, you really can't risk both here, in my opinion. That's just me.
Yeah.
With that said, that wraps up that game and brings us to my final game to break down for you before we do our value plays and the quick hits. And that is Zona at San Francisco. The line is 45 over under, and Zona is favored by 10 points. I'm pretty sure they really should be favored by 35, as Vegas has to have San Francisco scoring no more than 10 points.
They destroyed this thing once.
Yeah, they've already. Well, actually, this is the team that beat them. They have a loss to the San Francisco 49ers. So not only is San Francisco terrible, but Arizona actually beat San Francisco earlier in the year, and San Francisco actually beat Arizona. I think Arizona is going to come out with the biggest chip on their shoulder ever and just lay down a hammering. This 49er team is epically bad. I mean, they're on pace to be as bad as the Saints after their last couple performances. Rawls, who has been a turd all year, even when given the shots, dropped a 40-plus burger last week on him. That's why I love CJ2K this week, especially at his $4,600 price tag. You guys, listen to me here. This is the swerve from Rawls this week. Pay the extra $100 and buy CJ2K. Get it done. Last time against them, even in a losing effort, he put up 31 points against them, ran for 110 yards, caught a ball for 40, and had 2 touchdowns on the ground. It's just the right play, especially when everybody and the brother is going to be on Rawls in what is a way worse matchup. I don't think this is the same situation that the last game is. I think you can be exposed to the running backs here and exposed to the pass game, as it seems to have not hurt anyone else that's played the San Francisco 49ers. Palmer, Elfitz, and you can go with either the questionable Brown or the questionable Floyd. They're all must plays. Brown and Floyd are significantly cheaper than Elfitz's $7,400 price tag. So if you're needing to save money, jump that way. But both of them are listed as questionable. The situation becomes a must play for me if one of them doesn't suit up. Right? If Floyd doesn't suit up, I think you really need to get on Brown and Elfitz. Yes, I would stack freely.
I mean, Elfitz last time they played, 37.4, 9 catches, 134, and 2 touchdowns. That was one of his big early games where he just destroyed a team. That's why I thought they won that game, was because everybody went ham. That was a crazy game. Chris Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald. It was.
Well, they went ham, and somehow the Niners.
Somehow they still lost that game. It didn't seem to make any sense. Well, it ain't happening this week. They're going ham, and they're not going to take their foot off the gas. So enjoy, people.
Yeah, just enjoy this fantasy goodness, and that's the reason why I put this on my slate, guys. I think this is a game that you should be deep in. And if you're doing multiple lineups, at least one of them should probably be a stack of Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
But with that all wrapped up, it's time to enter the more fun part of the show.
You're not going to break down the Niners?
Oh, did I forget? Are they bad enough that I forgot?
We're like,
yeah. Okay. Here's my Niners breakdown. If you want to play them, instead of putting money on one of these sites, just take the money out of your wallet, grab a lighter or a book of matches, and just light it on fire.
I respect that. If you want to send me that on PayPal, you go ahead and do it.
I'll just say this one. If you want to play Niners players, I will take whatever 50-50 or heads-up matchup that you're going to offer me this week. But, yeah, guys, there's just nothing to cover there, except maybe the value play at running back. He's getting the full workload. Yep, get some dirty Sean Drone action there. But other than that, guys, there isn't a Niner you could pay me to play. All right, guys, now it's time for the sneaky/value plays. I'll go ahead and start this off. My first play is at tight end. It should surprise nobody. It's out of a game we haven't talked about yet. It's Heath Miller at 3,100. The Seahawks are another one of those teams that are a bottom 5 team in the league against tight end. Actually, they're in contention for worst team in the league against tight end with that of the New York Giants. I love this play this week. I know Heath has let us down in a couple of other matchups that we thought he was going to be monster in. But at 3,100, he lets you do a whole lot with your lineups this week, and I really like it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that at all. For my sneaky value play, I'm really looking at Travis Benjamin from Cleveland going up against Baltimore. Earlier this year, these teams have already met, and Baltimore players really, or the Cleveland players really had good games against them. So Travis Benjamin playing this team for the second time. He had a 14 last time, but that was 6 for 83. And now with McCown back, I think you're going to see Travis Benjamin back to the 6, the 8, the 9 catch days. And I really like him at 5,300.
I actually really like that sneaky value play. The guy I'm paying up for production for this week is, I'm just going to list off the 3 of them because I think they're basically 3 guys.
Go ahead.
Odell Beckham, DeAndre Hopkins, and Adrian Peterson. All 3 of these guys have a top 3 matchup for their position. They're all clearly super studs. They all are going to clearly get the lion's share of points. They're all super expensive, but with all the value out there, it's not hard. If you want to lock in those 3 guys as your core and build around them, you can easily do it.
Yeah, and I put 4 on my list. I have AP, DeAndre Hopkins, Beckham. And I also threw on Mike Evans at 7,400. Same deal, going up against Indy. Vincent Jackson did take some catches away from him last week, but I'm telling you, you just need the guy that's going to go ham against Indy, and that he might as well be in.
All right, I'm with you. I like that play as well. There's a bunch of receivers I like this week, a lot of them. On the over-own, I'm going to go with Thomas Rawls at 4,500. Everybody's going to chase that 40 burger last week, and they're going to get. I just don't think there's any way he hits close to that.
I mean, anymore. Not that, but
he only really needs a 15 to return value here.
Get there against Pittsburgh.
He could get to the 15 against Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh's actually better against a top 3 team against the run. And a lot of people don't realize that. I wouldn't. Like I said, I would always pay the extra $100 and own CJ2K every day of the week this week with the matchups. But that's just me. Who's your over-own guy?
I agree with that 100%. On my over-own player, I have Doug Martin at 5,800 because I think people, again, will be chasing, and his matchup is too good. Now, that may pay off or it may crap out. It is Doug Martin. He's known to follow up his 40-point games with a 6 and getting benched. So,
yeah, I mean, dude, my love-hate relationship with Doug Martin.
It is what he is.
Yeah, he is what he is. All right, with that said, let's start to move to the under-owned side, guys. And I think one of the guys that is going to be under-owned this week is Spencer Ware at 3,800. I know he was technically practice squad guy, and we've already pretty much hit this. Not a whole lot. In limited work last week, dude, he put up a 17, man, with 2 touchdowns. Yes, please, I'll take some more. It's just a play I like. And I don't know that people are reaching that low to get a running back. And if the practice squad, I think his ownership will be low enough that you'll want to make the play. Who's yours this week, bro?
Mine's going to be D'Angelo Williams for 5,700. The reason is he's not only got a giant red number next to his name on DraftKings, but that giant red number says number 1. The reason is that you're talking Seattle D at home, but the reason that Seattle's got that big red number is not because Seattle's D is awesome. It's because people are throwing all over them. Now, in D'Angelo Williams' case, and with Todd Haley's offenses, they always throw the backs. You know he's going to get there. He's going to get his catches. He's going to get all the goal line carries. Yeah. So I like D-Will to bounce back this week with a nice game, and I think a lot of people will be scared off by that big red number 1. I think people will pay the extra $100 for Doug Martin, even though they're going to get a 6 out of it.
Yeah, probably. And I think that's the right play. That's the right swerve there. I really like that. Now it's time for I'm smelling something rank. It's that dumpster fire segment. Who's the guy that is just going to be a heap of awfulness this week? My guy is LaShawn McCoy at 5,300. I'll even give you a freebie. Also, don't play Carlos Williams at 3,900. Guys, don't want running backs against the Chiefs. There has been a total of 1 running back tandem that has done anything against this Chiefs team. It was early in the season when the Bengals went off, and that was due to a lot of turnovers.
It was also on the road.
Good field position and on the road. At home, you do not want any running backs against this Chiefs defense. It will take a series of injuries to get them to start giving up legit run yardage. In the last several weeks, they haven't even gotten close to giving up 100. Don't toy with it. Running backs for the Bills will be the dumpster fire this week.
I
yours,
don't
bro?
have a problem with that at all. And my dumpster fire for this week is Tom Brady at 8K on the road at Denver.
Love it.
Again, same sort of deal as last week with the Bills, and that is Denver actually has a much better defense than the Bills and a much better defensive front. I do think that Denver is going to switch up fronts. They're going to blitz this side. They're going to fade back. It's going to be very similar to what Rex Ryan did. I think you saw the Rex Ryan blueprint last week against this team, and I think every team in the league is going to be following it.
Now to the quick hit segment, and for the quick hit segment, we'll cover the games that we haven't covered yet, and we'll just quickly fly through them. The first is that of Miami at New York Jets, and that is a 43.5 over/under with the Jets favored as 3.5-point favorites at home. Miami has looked terrible in recent weeks. There's some decent fantasy options if you want to try to chase points with Lamar Miller or any of those guys. I have not been big on Miami since they kept letting us down early in the year, and they haven't got better. The Jets, unfortunately, have also been kind of awful. The defense has fallen apart. Ivory hasn't looked like what he used to look like.
Last week he looked okay. They were just immediately behind, and it was all Bilal Powell.
Right, and Bilal Powell's back now. Well, Ivory was a sexy player when Bilal Powell was out, but now he's lost all his third down work to Bilal Powell. I think there are better spots than to take the running backs here. And you've got B. Marsh and Decker, like always. Decker's still underpriced at 5,800, but even they haven't been doing what they should. But they do get Fitzy back, and
Miami's wideouts now are really it's kind of turned into a three-headed monster with Rashard Matthews, Kenny Stills, and Jarvis Landry, and you're never really sure who's going to do what. And everybody's pretty much a something team player, and that's really hurt their value.
Oh yeah. Any other plays that you really like out of this game?
Not really. I do think if you want to get down and you think, hey, the Miami's going to get way up in this game, or the Jets.
Colin Ivory are great plays anyway because Miami, over the last 3 weeks, ranks out as the worst run defense in football. Right. The problem is like I said, Ivory looks like he's falling off. I like the power play value there. I've actually
3,300.
Couple of lineups there. The next game that we have for you guys is the Rams at the Bengals. The Rams offense is a dumpster fire. It doesn't matter who's at quarterback. Tavon Austin put a gross goose egg on people after having 24 targets the week before. How does that even happen?
And you know what?
How does that even happen?
Before we really get going on this, I'd say, hopefully Stephen Bailey recovers. I know that was a horrific deal. He was shot in the head over today. And, that's a scary deal. And I know there's a lot of emotion for the team involved with that as well. So, hopefully he makes a full recovery
and best wishes to him and his family. That's got to be a hard time. But that does motivate the Rams a little bit and might make them a little more interesting than normal. Their defense is good, but that defense doesn't traditionally travel well on the road. The Bengals looked good coming back to fight to try to get that win against the Cardinals last week. And it should have been a better game from the get-go, but they did fight it through, and we're seeing Dalton still completing good passes. Dalton's always a play. That Rams defense is better than what I want it to be. I don't like AJ Green this week. If I was rolling any Bengals, I'd probably roll Dalton, Eifert, or just Dalton by himself.
Yeah, I would say I agree with that. I also like Giovanni Bernard a little bit, but the problem with Bernard is he's better when they're down, and I don't know that they're going to be really, really down this week.
No, I don't.
But how do you feel about the other side of this ball with Gurley and the boys there?
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, the only viable play on the St. Louis Rams right now is Gurley. He's the only one, and I realized that he gave us an 11-point performance last week, which is way lower than what he needs to for his price tag.
In 3 weeks.
Yeah, but, when he does, though, he goes ham, and he is their only offensive star. The reason why I'm not on him this week is he's too expensive, and that Cincinnati defense off of 2 losses at home should just lay down a pounding. That's
any Tavon Austin thinking.
No,
it's usually you shut your eyes.
Zero literally cost me money last week. I'm not if he goes ham, fair enough. Somebody else light that money on fire, not me. That's my.
I'm not against Tavon Austin. I do understand the play, especially with Bailey out. So.
All right. With that said, moves along to the Vikings at Atlanta. For the most part this season, guys, we've told you we don't like the teams that are facing the Vikings. This defense just keeps getting better and better. They keep stifling offenses. Devontae Freeman still hasn't passed his first step of concussion protocol, so he most likely won't be back. The only way to attack this Vikings team is on the ground, and that might make Tevin Coleman a wonderful play at 4,300. I really like him at that price tag, and it might be another clever swerve around from the Rawls play. Julio does his usual, but he hasn't paid off his price tag in months, and months is an accurate statement there. Those don't pay off his price tag, dude.
Last week he did because everybody else shit the bed so bad.
Right.
I mean, that's really what it amounts to. It's
right,
I'm taking my 20 plus, but it's got to also be that everybody else doesn't shoot.
Right. I literally have to count on the grossest fantasy anomaly.
What do you think of the other side of that? Or do you have any Jacob Tammy love? I know a lot of people got dirtied by him last week.
Tammy's 2.6 last week screwed a lot of people.
I like him still.
I do like him still. This is just one of those games and teams where I'm not really on. The player I'm on here is AP, and I'm all in on AP, basically on the Vikings. I think he should torch this Atlanta team. The Atlanta team doesn't look like they used to. And the only reason Julio is remotely even putting up numbers is because this team's getting behind. The Falcons are getting behind. How they started off 5-0 just torching people and then fell off the face of the planet and can't win. Yeah, I don't like it. I like AP here. That's pretty much the only piece out of this game that I'm really on.
Well, I mean, let's talk about the I agree with you. The Falcons. That's exactly what's happened. It's because their schedule has been nothing but turd at the beginning. I mean, nothing at all. Look at that. I mean, you're talking Philly, Giants, Dallas, Houston, Washington, New Orleans, Tennessee, Tampa Bay, the Niners, and Indy. And they've
had a garbage schedule, and
they still are
below
not,
500.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't know that I'll be all over that. I do like AP just fine this week. He is a little pricey in my opinion still, but he is most of their offense, and he does have a really great matchup. I'm not against Tevin Campbell as well.
Tevin Campbell. It's Coleman, bro. Tevin Campbell.
I always would have said that. I'm not against him. I just think that he's so pedestrian. He's so Alfred Blue that it makes me a little sick to play him. At the same time, he will get almost all the carries. Stephon Diggs has been okay last week. He was dirty a couple weeks before that, but I think that Stephon Diggs could be an interesting play. He's just a little overpriced for really what he's going to be. I know all you Kyle Rudolph fans that have been playing him for 19 years, and he finally had the game at 6 for 106
right.
touch. Congratulations to you guys. I still won't play him, and that's mostly what I've got on that.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Murray, I want to know, can we talk for a minute? See the Tevin Campbell reference? No. I'm basically with you in that breakdown. And guys, one of the easiest fades for me this week is not playing Rudolph. That's just super easy to avoid. I mean congrats. You finally got paid off the one game.
Those people that have been playing you for years finally earned.
He has his 2 games a year. That's about what it is. All right, that brings us to Raiders at Titans. This is an interesting spot for all the Raiders who crapped on everybody last week to get back on path. Right, the Titans could easily eviscerate. We're looking at plays like Delaney Walker on the Titans side, Mariota. Of course. On the Raiders side, you've got your usual and Cooper, Carr, and Crabtree. Couldn't pay me to take running backs as the Titans are legit against the run. I don't like.
So do you want to mess with that's an interesting play to me is with Dexter McCluster actually out, do I now want to mess with the Antonio Andrews against what is an awful team against the run?
If Antonio Andrews was the sole guy to get all the touches, sure. But
you're really dealing with he's not pseudo. David Cobb got carries last week, but he was 4 for -3 yards. So I don't know that that's really doing anything. And Andrews did have the bulk. He had 15 for 78, and he had another couple of catches. And that was with McCluster still active at that point.
Right.
So
fair enough.
I think that's an interesting swerve. He's 7,300. He's a full starter.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they don't dress Bishop Sankey again. That guy was a dumpster.
Even if they do, I mean, they're not going to play.
Fair enough. No, it's another interesting. There are just too many value running backs this week. It's just
7,300 or 3,700 though. I mean, you're talking Bleal Powell level with 20 touch potential.
Yeah, no, legit. Steelers at Seahawks. We pretty much covered chunks of this game already. The Steelers. It could be a huge day for the Roethlisberger and crew. The Seahawks. The Seahawks are not as good as they once were, but they are at home, and so you never know. You never know with the Seattle Seahawks.
They may let them hold.
Depends on the refereeing staff. Yeah. You couldn't. Like I said, Rawls is going to be owned like crazy. I don't want him. As far as the rest of that offense goes,
I'm playing Antonio Brown. I don't care. I do not care who he goes up against. I just don't.
Fair enough. Roll your Antonio Brown. I usually don't mind that play. Next game, Pats at Broncos. Guys, Murr already told you he doesn't like the Patriots. I don't either. They're always play, but not against that defense, especially since that defense is at home at Mile High, and that defense gets to deal with that horrible offensive line for the Patriots. And let's be honest, that's the reason why the Patriots have, your players have been suffering production-wise. They're still getting wins and winning the games, but that offensive line is just not giving him enough time to throw the ball. And
on the other side, any Osweiler love?
I do love me some Osweiler still. Don't even have a problem if you want to pair him up with Demaryius, with Emmanuel probably being out again.
I feel like I gotta say it. So Brock Osweiler he is Gary Kubiak's quarterback. There's just no doubt. I want to run the bootleg. I want to be Matt Schaub and be super pedestrian, get my 15 to my 18, and I don't. That's why it's not I'm against Brock Osweiler. I understand what that offense is, and that offense is similar to what Matt Ryan gets at times. It's hey, I'm going to be a 15 to 18 point quarterback.
Well, I mean, here's the real problem. The real problem is as good as that defense is, he's never going to be in a position to unleash it and see what his potential is.
Right.
So unless the Patriots come out gangbusters, which I just don't have this game flow being, I don't think
they got to get down.
I just don't think you'll get to see more than your 15 to 20 on Osweiler.
Maybe, he may get 25, 30 attempts.
Right. Well, the question of how many points he scores depends on whether or not he takes one of those bootlegs where there's nobody covering him and runs. Remember how Elway used to do it? Get that 30-yard run for a touchdown.
That was a different era, though.
It was, but dude, people still do it. And in this when you bootleg with quarterback,
I get it, but you need the right. It's like you said, you need the right combo of suspect D and
game
team
flow
that still has to score, and no other way to do it. That kind of thing.
That leaves us to the last game, guys.
Oh, I love this game.
Really?
I absolutely love this game.
This is hilarious to me because after what is supposed to have been several great matchups on Monday Night Football that turned into epic dumpster fires, we actually have an epic dumpster fire that probably will turn into fantasy awesome.
I love this game. Absolutely. It's so
Baltimore Ravens with their backup quarterback and backup running back.
How dare you talk about Josh McCown in such a way? Starting quarterback.
Okay, that's the Brown side of the ball, bro. I was talking about the Ravens. They don't have their starting quarterback or their starting running back.
Yes.
Now, on the Brown side of the ball, they also don't have their starting quarterback as of last week, which
is fine.
Which is Johnny Manziel. But they do have their old quarterback back, which was better for fantasy purposes than Manziel ever was, in Josh McCown. And should be interesting to say the least, as McCown's in a really good spot because the Ravens secondary is awful. Without the Ravens having a quarterback or a running back, this game terrifies me because the Browns.
Matt Schaub. And the Browns can't stop anybody.
No, right. All indications for the last 3 weeks, dude. All indications on the Monday Night Football game. This is another one. Ooh, this game flow should be awesome. Neither one of these teams play defense. We should get a lot of fantasy goodness. Something tells me that this score is going to be 9-3.
Well, it's fully possible. Those are cold weather teams in bad areas, you know. But at the same time, I will play Josh McCown just because he's 5K. He's gonna drop a 30. He's going to happen against this team. That's where I'm at. He is going to do them dirty.
Fair enough. I'll tell you what, dude. I will put together, like, because you like the McCown so much, I will put together a McCown build with, like, my core this week. Just for you, I'll put a McCown Benjamin.
Travis Benjamin.
Yeah. But with that said, guys, that wraps up pretty much. You don't have any desire to play any of the Ravens, right?
Well, you know.
I mean, you've got Allen, but guys.
Horace Lane or Allen?
Yeah, the problem is, guys, like, if he had a quarterback, I would be like, sure, you can play Allen here. Like, step up into the role. Like, I just don't think you can play with a backup quarterback.
You know, last week with
what's to stop like Cleveland's bad on defense, right? But like, what's to stop them from putting 10 in the box? Like let's be honest. Like,
my thing is he did play last week without a quarterback as well. He did put up a 16 against
Flacco went out on the final drive of that game.
Final drive of the game, so he still had
and actually played with the Bears on the final drive to kick the field goal to win the game. So
that's not right. Okay, well, I still think the Browns can't stop anybody.
Fair enough. I will buy that the Browns are a dumpster fire.
And quite honestly, the Baltimore, both of their backup quarterbacks are guys that have played in the league before. It's not like it's going to be too big. And if they want to give them and stack the line and dare them to throw, I think they're going to be able to throw.
Yeah.
I don't really want to rate.
No, the question is with,
like this game.
Fair enough. The question is with Schaub, are you going to get Schaub's 5 touchdown game or are you going to get Schaub's 5 interception game? Because there's not really an in-between with Schaub. That's why the Texans got rid of him.
I mean, Schaub hosts Gary Kubiak. He's just kind of
right.
But at least he's got no one to throw to, so... You know, I do like Crockett. I do like Crockett.
I love me Crockett Gilmore from the beginning, and also the Barnyard Dog, Gary Barnidge, is also in play for the Browns.
Yeah.
But that's basically it, guys. And Mur wants her to be fantasy.
I do want it to be good. I want it to be good.
Like,
Monday night games have been.
I'd have rather had last Monday night's game be good, where I could have won a few $1,000s.
Well, I agree, but this is what makes me think it's going to be good.
No, that's the
only game where everybody goes, "Oh my God, let's not play anybody," and it's going to be defense optional shootout.
No, that's the only thing that has me even remotely considering this game is the baggage flow from the last few weeks.
I have love for it.
All right. Well, with that said, guys, that wraps up another week, week 12 of the NFL season. Thank you, guys. We want to thank Lear for letting us use his house while he's out of town. Without his permission, or that's why you don't give your friends your garage code, bro. And we'll take care of Blue for you, let him out and whatnot. But guys, thanks for watching. Remember to favorite, share, subscribe, like. Whatever we're doing on any of the social media sites, get it out there. Help us that way, and hopefully we're making money this week. And if it's not us, hopefully it's you, but we really hope it's us.
Absolutely.
Have a good one, guys. Peace out.
Have a good one.